This week on the Hollywood and Toto podcast, we talked to AJ Rice, the author of a new book, The White Privilege Album. I'm laughing just hearing the title. Yes, he goes there again and again. Humor is the best weapon these days against the cultural scourge that is woke, woke everything. We have a funny chat. You're not going to want to miss it.
Welcome to the Hollywood and Toto podcast. Entertainment news and reviews without the woke Hollywood narrative. Free speech, free expression. Now that's entertainment. And here's your host, award-winning film critic, Christian Toto.
I've known my next guest quite a while. We've never met in person, but in our technological age, you just know people through tweets, through emails, through their conversations online, through social media. And of course, I've been very curious to see what AJ Rice has to say next. A couple of years ago, he made a book called The Woking Dead. And of course, you know exactly what that's about. It was brilliant. Did quite well on Amazon. And now AJ is back. His new project is a new book. It's called The White Privilege Album. And of course, he is skewering DEI, the woke agenda, and so much more that's happening on the left that deserves to be skewered. And who does it better than AJ Rice? He's funny, he's sharp, he's incisive. He's worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, including Laura Ingraham. And, he's the kind of guy who wears many hats, much like myself. I do this podcast, I run a website, I do freelance work, little spackle and paint jobs on the side. Just kidding, I'm not very handy at all. But AJ Rice is also a publicist and a top tier one at that. He calls the book part satire, part journalism, part truth serum. And boy, we could all use a little bit of that these days, right? Just take your pick. You could find all you want to know about the book at whiteprivilegealbum.com. or go to PUBLIUSPR.com for more information about his PR firm. Here's my conversation with AJ Rice, and I hope you enjoy. Well, AJ, thanks for joining the show. I just spoke to someone from the Babylon Bee, Kyle Mann, and I think that people like you and Kyle are in this rarefied air because it's such a target-rich environment for comedy right now, political humor, what the left is up to, and so few people are actively engaging with it. I mean, you must be like a kid in a candy store. What's it like to look around and be humorous at heart and think, what do I tackle first?
Sure. Well, look, I was raised on Howard Stern and Rush, and I'm talking peak Howard Stern, the Howard Stern that introduced me to Donald Trump. I mean, Trump used to fly Howard all around New York City on his helicopter. So it's an amazing thing to see him just become a company man, moves out to the Hamptons. He's hanging out with Jimmy Fallon or Kimmel, one of them, and Billy Joel. And he's just kind of thrown in. I mean, ever since America's Got Talent, he's no longer the avant-garde Howard that we all grew up with. Rush was Rush till the end. And the three of us actually have the same birthday, me, Rush, and Howard. And I used to tell Ingram that, because that's when I met you when I was Laura Ingram's executive producer. And she used to call me the radio antichrist, being born on that day. I've come to find out that Jeff Bezos actually shares the same birthday as well. Wow, nice. But I will tell you, when you look at the late night comics, none of them want to take risks. They're all sort of singing from the same song sheet, right? It's all the same jokes. They took their old Sarah Palin jokes and they dusted them off. They made them Donald Trump jokes. They won't go certain places. I mean, it is a target-rich environment, which is why the White Privilege Album is Volume 2, Volume 1 being The Woking Dead, which actually just came out in paperback. So you could actually get both books now. And it is one of those things where being around Ingram, every time Laura and I would go to LA, we would invite Andrew Breitbart and Larry into the studio. And this is when Andrew was just running Drudge. And he'd be a guest. And then he started doing some fill-in stuff. And I got to know him pretty well. And I know a lot of people quote him about culture being downstream from politics and so on. A lot of people say this, and it's true. The fact that Breitbart still has top-of-mind awareness the way he does is a test to him. But he and I used to have, because he would fill in for Michael Savage and Jerry Doyle and all kinds of hosts, Tammy Bruce, that I was producing their shows after I would do Ingram, Monica Crowley. And, and Ben Shapiro was our lawyer at the time for the network, so I interacted with him a lot. And we all used to talk about this exact thing. And I don't know whether you remember this, but everyone used to remember when every right-winger, whether they were funny or not funny, would try to do, they're all going to make the right-wing Daily Show. Remember? And there was a couple of people that attempted it. And we know some of them. I think Michael Luft attempted it. There was something at one point called the half-hour news hour.
That was on Fox News, I believe.
It was on Fox, yeah. But, the thing that sort of lasted the longest and has evolved into something today is really what Gutfeld was doing on Red Eye. And it's not a mystery to me that Greg and the gang are crushing the 3 Jimmies and the Steven. And how many Jimmies are there? Maybe there's only 2. I can't keep track of them all. They're like all this sort of doughy Gen X, alienation boys. They're all got the same jokes. And they're just like Pez dispensers of the same tired, and might I say, lazy comedy. Now, with that said, Limbaugh used to say his job was to use irreverent humor to illustrate truth. So you can do that, and we all do it differently. I think I'm a little harsher than Rush. I'm a wise ass from Philadelphia, so I'm going to bring the ruckus a little differently. I grew up on the playground. I used to think I was Allen Iverson. Oh, not allowed to be that, not allowed to do that, right? It is a target-rich environment, like you said, and it doesn't, the fact that no one wants to do it. The Babylon Bee is doing a fantastic job, really. Remember all those years, the sort of cultural touchstone was, I saw this news story today, and it was crazy, and it wasn't from The Onion. Remember The Onion? So all these things are gone. And if you look at just sort of Saturday Night Live, and you look at the way we've sort of devolved from Johnny Carson to Leno, and the thing with Leno, Letterman was definitely a company man, became a left-wing guy. Leno's one of these guys, I'm not sure that's true. He's more of a blue-collar, he played the game, obviously. He had to. So Johnny Carson and Jay Leno, I think, understood that if you're going to talk to America, you should talk to all of America, right? Not just the trans mafia and the Walking Dead and the 1619 people and the digital brown shirts and all these little bifurcated left-wing special forces operation groups. You need to talk to everyone. And I think that's something that Michael Jordan understood. I think Tiger Woods understands it. I think Tom Brady understands it. That if you're going to be the GOAT, you need to be the GOAT of everyone.
You mentioned sports entertainment. I think sports remains, for the most part, a true meritocracy, whereas entertainment, they've pushed this woke agenda where, it doesn't matter that it's not getting ratings or there's no audience there. We're going to keep doing it. I think that's course correcting a little bit now. I think Hollywood's finally realizing they can't do that. But that's what you're right on paper. But I think in recent years, they've drifted away from that.
They are, but I will tell you, with DEI and ESG and with some of these corporations, and particularly the NBA, NFL with the Black National Anthem, I don't really get that. But here's the thing. You can go to any auditorium in America. Here's the true test of who's the GOAT. You go to any auditorium in America, you will find the United Nations, especially in a public school. You ask all the kids wearing Jordans to stand up. It'll look like the Benetton ad. It'll be the great equalizer where white kids and Asian kids and black kids, they all want to fly like Mike. And you might find one doofus trans teacher wearing LeBron sneakers in the back. You're not going to find anybody wearing LeBron sneakers, dude. Come on. Come on. And let's think about LeBron. So LeBron, he's got to weigh in on everything. He's got to talk about which teams are going to visit the White House and this and that. He even, when his dopey Space Jam 2, which was a failure, was coming out, he even thought he had to weigh in on the CCP and the Hong Kong protests. He sides with the regime, right? He sides with the regime because he's going to try to promote Space Jam 2 in China. Yeah. So whether it's D-Wade with the trans mafia or LeBron with some of the stuff, the Black Lives Matter garbage and so on. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I am a publicist by day, okay? I'm the funniest publicist in America. And I will tell you, I can smell the stench of a publicist on most of these people, okay? Especially these goofy NBA players that went one and done freshman year or went right from high school like LeBron, and they're just being manipulated by their goofy ass left-wing Hollywood publicists. Now, some of them, they stay out of it. In the book, A White Privilege Album, I do a side-by-side of 2 mixed-race athletes and their adoptive parents. And on one hand, you have the washed-up, hack, race-baiting Colin Kaepernick. He's of mixed race, adopted by white parents, and he is basically thrown in with Farrakhan and Al Sharpton and has become just this, basically a race hustler. Now he can't even get a real job. Nike threw him some money to virtue signal to all of us. But he has basically taken an 18-wheeler like Barack did to his grandfather and backed over his white grandparents. And the corporate media, ESPN is owned by ABC, which is owned by Disney. We could get into NBC, Comcast, Universal, and so on. They love it. The Atlantic loves it. So when Kaepernick backs over white granny, they love it. On the other hand, you have Aaron Judge. And like Jeter before him, this is a mixed race guy, but adopted parents that live not far from you. They're in Colorado. They're public school teachers. And they raise money for adoptions. They raise money for foster kids. And Jamel Hill, all these, the little backbencher race baiters out there, they are constantly trying to get Judge to put his black fist in the air. Always. Yeah. They are trying to get him to take the bait. But Judge understands that he's a role model for everyone, just like the other goats we were talking about. And baseball players in general, and I read about this in the book, don't get into, for the most part, black or white Hispanic baseball players don't really take the bait that often on the, propaganda from Black Lives Matter and some of the woke media. They don't do it. And I have some theories about that. One of the theories is in the book, and that is this. In order to play catch with someone, with your father has to be in the home. And I don't care whether it's Jimmy Rollins, or Torrey Hunter, I can go down the whole list. It's interesting if you examine African-American athletes, and they are diminishing in baseball because it's not as razzle-dazzle as basketball and football. I make the case that if Willie Mays came along tomorrow, he'd probably be Emmitt Smith or LeBron or because you want to talk about a pure athlete, right? Yeah. But if you look at Ken Griffey Jr., you look at Barry Bonds, their fathers were in the home, and they were there to play catch. But when you're talking about a situation in the African-American community where 75-ish% of the African-American community has these children out of wedlock, I think in 1920, it was like 14%, and now it's 75 100 years later.
It's shocking.
It's crazy. So I make the case that in order to play, in order to play catch with someone, your father has to be there. And there's just a different breed of African American athlete, and I think that's fair to say. I mean, you're a baseball guy. I don't care whether it's Frank Thomas or Jeter or whoever it is. Even Jackie Robinson. I think it's just a different type of gentleman that plays baseball.
I want to mention, that I'm a Yankees fan. And I've been watching Judge for years now. And of course, I follow his every step. I forgot that he's a mixed race. He never talks about being
correct.
Mixed race. He is uniformly positive, uplifting, a solid citizen, a good teammate, a great player. I mean, I could spend a half an hour trying to think of anything negative about him, and I come up blank.
That's why there's a section in the book called the section's called "All Hail Aaron Judge's Parents" in the book. You'll love it. And look, I didn't get a chance to put it in the book, but they're doing this right now. I mean, the book was already written, but they're doing this right now to Patrick Mahomes. Weigh in on this. Yeah. Weigh in on that. Talk about how black you are. You talk about this, talk about that. He's got a black father, he's got a white mother, he's got a white wife. So he's got these two kids that are a quarter black. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this the goal? Was it the goal to never hear from about this anymore? I was told by Martin Luther King and Gandhi and and Nelson Mandela and everyone else, and Barack Obama, might I add, when we were entering, remember this, the post-racial America. I thought we were in the post. I pulled up thousands of NPR and New York Times stories. 3 years later, we got the beer summit. We got My Kid Looks Like Trayvon. We got the Cambridge police acted stupidly, and then he midwifes Black Lives Matter into existence. And Occupy Wall Street, which became Antifa. He's the midwife. Barack Obama, Hussein in the membrane. He's the midwife of a lot of this crap we're dealing with now. But when I look at Mahomes, and I'm an Eagles fan, I don't like losing Super Bowl. But, I'm thinking like us sort of all getting along and marrying each other. I thought that's what the hell we were doing this for. Yeah. Right?
By the way, you mentioned before Andrew Breitbart, and I think in a way his message has come to fruition. The work you do, Am I Racist? The Blaze has Normal World. We're seeing the sort of the seeds that he planted come
100%. He's the godfather of all of this. He is. Him and Limbaugh.
He spoke to so many people. Every time I talk to someone, I say, oh yeah, early on he reached out to me. Or, talking about authors, podcasters, artists,
100%.
filmmakers, they all kind of had a connection with him. But this is your world too, and you're really good at it. What's the next step? What do conservatives have to do now? We've kind of gotten our movies into theaters. We've breaking through in the podcasting realm. We've got books out. We've got documentaries. What is the next logical step to kind of increase our footprint in this pop culture landscape?
Well, I think the osmosis that is the echoes of Andrew Breitbart, they go towards Gutfeld and what his crew is doing. And they put out books and they tour. Tyrus and Kat Timpf go out there. Gutfeld is now a spot where certain comics that cannot get on stage at Caroline's or the Laugh Factory because of the types of jokes they tell, they can go there. So you can be showcased there. Now, we do have some left-wing guys that help us. I think Ricky Gervais and Chappelle and Maher on a lot of stuff, they're right. Yeah. They know that when they come for Toto and Rice, we're all going to be in the same gulag together. They know that. They can vote. I mean, look, Dave Chappelle's not exactly Ben Carson, but if you tell a comedian, I mean, look, Seinfeld's not a right-wing guy, but he's out there doing the Pop-Tart movie. I was listening to what he was saying about how, he said in the past, I don't do colleges anymore, but he basically flat out said the left has made things unfunny. I watched Vince Vaughn recently talking about it. We couldn't make Old School tomorrow. We couldn't make Swingers tomorrow. Tons of stuff we couldn't make. This is all good stuff. And the fact that Rumble exists as a counter to, really the most nefarious tech company is the Google YouTube situation. Because even Zuckerberg has taken it down a notch. He realizes that Elon looks cooler than him. And these dorks, they're all in competition. They all got laid when they were 30. Although Musk started having children, I guess, when he was 5. But they are in competition, and DEI and ESG, they're flaccid. It's a flaccid move, okay? And Zuckerberg wants to still prove that he's tough. So he sent that letter to Jim Jordan and said, "I'm going to stay out of it." So those are Breitbart victories. You might not think about it when you read it, but those are victories for all of us. Hollywood and Toto, Breitbart.com, the stuff Ben and the boys are doing at The Wire, the stuff Bannon does on War Room, the stuff, these podcasting, stuff that goes on Rumble and Lindell TV and Real America's Voice and Newsmax. Our friends at Fox that haven't drank the Kool-Aid like Maria and Janine, Hegseth, Laura, Sean, and just, Russell Brand converting to Catholicism. There's just stuff that is happening because the osmosis, the anti-woke osmosis, we are hunting the woking dead down. We are targeting people that talk about white privilege all the time. And we can get into what I mean there. Obviously, bringing racial harmony to very fine people on both sides. I'm obviously trolling the left, the very fine people lie, which was the foundational hoax for the Trump is a racist narrative. Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Bill O'Reilly are all thriving away from Fox in their own ways. Bongino too, my boy, Danny boy. They are, and this is good. This is good. You've got wacky stuff out there. Alex Jones and Bannon might not be your cup of tea, but you want to go with, Ben Shapiro. You want to go with, what's his name, Crowder. You go with Crowder and Nick DiPaolo and those guys. They're all Loftus. Everybody's doing stuff, and this, a rising tide lifts all jokes, right?
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, that's why the censorship push has been so extreme in the last few months.
Sure.
They don't want this. There's freedom breaking out. There's comedy breaking out. And that scares Hillary Clinton to death. That's
oh my gosh.
We're seeing.
That's why you got, Newsom won with the memes. The white privilege out. I've got blurbs from this book. From Abraham Lincoln, Joseph Stalin gave me a blurb, Santa Claus gave me a blurb. And those things, and Santa Claus's biography says cookie eater, reindeer tender, and heteronormative Christian saint. Okay? So, but those types of things, obviously, being a smart ass, but those types of, all these things matter. And, we can do death by 1,000 cuts too. And I will tell you, just to tie some of this into politics, and we talked about some left-wing comedians that will, I will tell you, Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes will go down as a Waterloo moment. It's like a Waterloo, the woke Waterloo. And another woke Waterloo moment is Elon basically becoming red pill. The fact that he opened up that engine, it's just like, he goes on TV, it's like all the conspiracy theories that everyone had, and Ben Shapiro and Alex Jones had the exact same conspiracy theory, turned out to be true about Twitter. The whole upper management at Twitter was like, ex-Interpol, ex-CIA, I mean, it's just like, what? So much for Northrop Grumman and the Rand Corporation. No, they're going to retire and go to Twitter. It's just like, that's why Zuckerberg feels so duped. He's talking to Rogan. He's like, well, they all called me, and it is the Justice Department. And Zuckerberg's the last man in America to find out the government lies to people. Okay?
I give him a modicum of credit for even
right. So, but if you look at, and this is how I know we're over the target, and Bill Maher should kind of be ashamed of himself when he looks at the facts I'm about to present. Let me get this straight. And Tulsi, RFK Jr., and Elon have all been on Bill Maher's shows. Trump was able to flip Elon, which is huge. It's like Mark Twain, Ben Franklin of our time. It's like a hybrid, just crazy, right? And I don't care about the valuation of Twitter. I care about the Starlink satellites getting into, North Carolina.
Yeah.
RFK Jr., willing to lose a wife over it. Tulsi Gabbard. Now, RFK Jr. and Tulsi, full disclosure, are my clients. Elon, I've got people that work at Tesla that are my clients, ex-Marines. That's who Elon's got around. He's got ex-Marines around him. Not freaking, people that used to work at DARPA and the NSA and all these other places. So you've got that. Trump's in the rowboat fighting totalitarianism with those three former Democrats. And look, you got people like Naomi Wolf out there, people that were like famous left-wing people that no longer. And then, Christian, on the other side, I was talking with Ingram about this the other day. I never thought I would see this in a million years. Democrat presidential candidate on stage talking, international audience. I stand here with the Cheneys. I stand here with Dick Cheney and his daughter, Dick Cheney in drag. I've got Dick Cheney in drag, and I've got Dick Cheney, and I've got this letter here signed by all the McCain and Romney and Bush people, and it's like, who do you want to roll with? You want to roll through the globalist hood with Elon and Tulsi and RFK Jr., or you want to roll with the Cheneys and the McCains?
And all of this is why the White Privilege album matters, why humor matters. It's so important. And of course, the reason why it's important is that it changes hearts and minds. That's why you see such bland, drab comedy across the late night landscape. I think Saturday Night Live has been maybe microscopically better the first 2 weeks, but I don't have much faith there. But
sure,
you can check out the White Privilege album. Just go to whiteprivilegealbum.com or just check it out on Amazon or your favorite bookseller. AJ, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your humor, your insights. We need more people like you to kind of shake things up, tell the truth. And I think that's why satire really does leave a mark, because when there's a core of truth to it, that's what matters most. When you see the Orange Man bad jokes, it's not funny. And because it's not based in reality, it just kind of goes over our heads. So I think the reason why the Babylon Bee does what it does and what you do is because there's the truth there. And that's what we're seeking out. That's what we need. And that's why the funny is so impactful. But good luck with the book, and I hope we can talk.
Thank you. And I just want the audience to know one thing, and you and I have known each other for 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this man on this show is one of like 3 people in the entire world that was writing and talking about some of the stuff that he writes and talks about, going way back, decades now, okay, before the iPhone even existed. This guy has been in the trenches, one of the longest. It's an honor to be here. He's a patriot, and so's the audience.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm still 33 years old, which is amazing to be,
That's right. That's right. All right, brother.
This is the White Privilege album. I ain't say it twice. The White Privilege album. Author is AJ Rice. Yo, man, I'm off the hook. Cause the novel is an album and the album is a book. This is the White Privilege album. I ain't say it twice. The White Privilege album. Author is AJ Rice.